important than ever. Thieves are really trying to get as much information from you as they can, steal your financial information, steal your tax information. Today's forum is to bring awareness to those kinds of threats that are facing us, as well as to give you some, real life information and some resources that you can use and follow and be secure this filing season. We have very distinguished panel of presenters today. So without any further delays, I want to introduce our first panelist. Derek Ganter is the director of our Stakeholder Liaison, and he's our boss. Derek?
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here with you, and really great to see some familiar faces, some old friends. Hey, Judy, Kenny, really good to see you guys. It's been a while. Hopefully we'll get to come together soon and be able to shake hands. As Narita indicated, this is the 5th annual National Tax Security Awareness Week event for us. And this is a partnership that we've started within the IRS with a number of state agencies and other federal partners, along with members of the private sector, the tax software companies, for example, to try to create as much awareness as possible to make people aware about some of the hazards and risks as a result of some of the cyber crimes and criminals that are out there. We are always trying to stay ahead of those people, but that is a daunting task. So on an annual basis, we try to share as much information as we can to help people, particularly with this time of the year. And then, of course, with the pandemic being amongst us, a lot of us are probably going to do a lot of shopping, whether for the holidays or just for basic essentials, using online platforms. And so while those are certainly very convenient and very useful for us during these times, there are some risks, the inherent risks that come with that. And so we're hopeful that through this campaign, many of you can get some helpful hints and tips and best practices that will help you to stay safe and protect your identities, protect your personal identifiable information. Lastly, I do want to thank our partners, the Sino-American CPA Association, as well as KCAL, who have been tremendous partners for us over the years. Not only have they partnered with us in our aspirations to share tax security information, but they have been really, really essential in helping us in our multilingual outreach and getting out into the respective communities. As many of you may know, our commissioner, Charles Reddick, has positioned our organization, the IRS, to try to reach any and everybody to make sure that they have a bridge to being compliant with their taxes. And that also means going to places where English may not be the primary language. And so Kenny and Johnny and the Sino-American CPA Association, and KCAL have really, really been great partners. I'll go as far as to call them friends, and I really do appreciate your support. So with that being said, there are definitely, as Narita indicated, some very good speakers that are going to be sharing some information. I'm just kind of warming things up. So thank you for joining us, and hope everybody is safe and sound out there. Thank you, Narita.
Thank you, Derek. So next, I would like to invite our host, Kenny Chang, to greet all of us.
Okay. Thank you, and I would like to thank you for Derek and Narita, and also all of IRS members to give us this chance, bring such important information to our Chinese community. And we, say special thank you for consider us is important message for us. So thank you, and also we want to special thank you for today's all of our old friends and also new friends to join our today's webinar. And of course, including the Judy Chu and then SBA Bank, and also Johnny Shi, and all of the Chinese media, especially they join with our today's event. So thank you for your report, and I hope that bring this such important message, important information to our Chinese community. Everybody know how to protect your identity, your social security, all of the information. So then let me see. Okay, of course we are. KCAL is really honored, and also special thank you for letting us as a partner to join with this event. Now let me use this some kind of rewarding speak with our community. 谢谢大家今天在百忙之中抽空来参加我们的这个 special event， 对我们来讲各自的安全。那当然呢，在这个礼拜一是 Cyber Monday， 大家 shopping 的非常愉快 ，OK。可是呢，在这个那么多 transaction 里面，万一有哪一个公司行号因为他们的疏忽，很可能让你的 data 外漏的话，会让我们这个一般老百姓，如果说过去有这个经验，因为你的这个个资外泄了，被别人拿去做信用卡，被别人拿去做了贷款，造成你的这个信用损失，或者是甚至有人用了你的 Social Security Number 到了国税局去退税了，把你应该退到你的名下的税退到他的名下去了，对大家来讲都造成很大的损失。那当然，在我做保险的这个情况之下的话，我们也知道我们在现在 current season 是 open enrollment for the Obamacare。在你在买个人健康保险的时候，你是不是已经把你所有的资料，包括你的 financial statement， 包括你的 tax return， 你的保险经纪人那边都有一份？很可能你都没有想到，你的保险经纪人可能比你的配偶对你们家里的状况还要了解。所以说呢，在这1分钟，当你在买保险的时候，是不是也要看看你的保险经纪如何处理他的 paper？ 他的 paper 是不是都有很安全的处理？是不是都有要丢掉之前，是不是都有把它碎纸机碎掉？以及他的资料进了电脑以后，在电脑的安全的 protection 方面，是不是真的做到照顾你的治安的安全？所以说，在这1分钟也是在提醒各位聪明的消费者，在你选择你在买这个保险的时候，你要注意这个你的各自的安全。所以说我也不耽搁大家的时间，把麦克风再交回去给我们的主持人 Norina。OK，turn the mic. Thank you for giving us a chance to speak with our Chinese community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kenny. And now I want to introduce Congresswoman Judy Chu from California's 27th District. We're very fortunate to have her address our audiences. Congresswoman.
Well, thank you. Yes, I'm Congressmember Judy Chu from California, and I represent the Pasadena, but actually I'm here in Washington, D.C. Nonetheless, nothing could stop me from joining you today for the IRS Stakeholder Liaison's 5th Annual Tax Security Awareness Week. I want to thank the Sino-American Certified Public Accountants Association and KCAL Insurance Agency for sponsoring these events for so many years. For years, these groups have been dedicated to providing essential and useful financial advice to the Chinese community. Less than 2 weeks ago, they hosted another virtual event on understanding mortgages during this pandemic and 2020 end of the year tax tips that helped educate more than 250 people. This is the kind of information that could literally save hundreds of families from becoming victims of financial crimes. So thank you for all that you do. Ensuring the security of taxpayer data has never been more important, not only thanks to the rise of cyber crimes, but also because of the current pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic is more than a public health emergency. It's also a financial emergency for so many families. And sadly, that means more opportunities for bad actors to take advantage of the most vulnerable. Scammers know that when people and businesses are struggling financially, they're more desperate for help, creating opportunities for fraudsters to exploit people. And at the same time, Congress has provided unprecedented resources to help families and businesses weather this pandemic financially, such as stimulus checks, enhanced unemployment assistance, and Paycheck Protection Program loans. This means taxpayers' personal information is circulating more rapidly, creating opportunities for criminals to steal that information. And that is why I'm so glad to see all of you taking part in today's conversation, and why it's so important that taxpayers take proper precautions to protect their private information, and that their trusted financial partners, such as CPAs and insurance agents, are also looking out for their clients. As the holiday season approaches and the tax year ends, we must remember to take basic steps to protect ourselves. First, understand that government agencies such as the IRS or Social Security Administration will never call to verify personal information. Those attempts to impersonate government agencies or even a financial institution known as imposter scams continue to be one of the most successful ways to trick taxpayers to provide financial information. Second, if you have online accounts, you should utilize simple technology practices, such as establishing strong passwords and using two-step verification to confirm access to online accounts to better secure your personal information online. But even with these practices in place, scammers will try to take advantage of the system by convincing taxpayers to click links in emails or text messages that might expose personal financial information. So the best rule of thumb is to only click on links sent by a verified sender. And if you're not sure if the sender is verified, it's better to call and confirm with the agency than to expose yourself to these kinds of scams. And if you are using paper records for your tax information, be sure to keep them stored securely in a locked cabinet and share any documents with personal information that you no longer want to keep, that is, keep them locked up. Finally, trusted financial professionals must also do their part to ensure that their own business practices are secure to protect the tax information of their clients. It's essential that trusted financial partners be extra vigilant for certain taxpayers. Unfortunately, scammers disproportionately prey on people that they think are more likely to fall for scams, such as seniors, communities of color, and immigrants who might not be as familiar with our tax system. So while taxpayers can take certain steps to protect themselves from financial scams and identity theft, the government and other stakeholders must do their part to provide resources and education to taxpayers to avoid these scams. The good news is that the IRS has made some progress in helping to remove some of the language barriers that can leave those with limited English proficiency vulnerable to tax scams. In September, the IRS updated the Your Rights as a Taxpayer publication in 20 languages and announced that the Your Federal Income Tax publication will be available early next year in 7 languages, including Chinese for the first time ever. These documents advance long-term efforts to ensure that all taxpayers are properly informed of their rights as taxpayers and receive clear explanations of the laws and IRS procedures in all tax forms, instructions, publications, notices, and correspondence. And the updated 1040 form for this upcoming 2020 filing will also let taxpayers choose to be contacted in the language other than English, which is a major step forward for better serving taxpayers with limited English proficiency. The tax system is complex enough on its own, and the IRS should be willing to assist all taxpayers, no matter their background or what language they speak. And while we in government do our part, I want to thank you for the work you've done in our community to spread awareness and educate taxpayers. So thank you again for holding this conversation and for inviting me to be a part of it. I will keep fighting in Congress to ensure that the IRS has the resources it needs to continue to educate taxpayers on how to protect their financial information. And I will continue supporting stakeholders like you in your efforts to help protect families and businesses from financial crimes as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Congresswoman. That was a great presentation, and you covered a lot of the things that we in IRS would want to cover with everyone that is, listening to us today. Next, though, I want to invite Johnny Shi. He's a CPA from Sino-American CPA Association to share his message for tax practitioners. Sino-American CPA Association has been one of our most valued partners, and they're co-hosting today's forum. And Johnny has been more than a partner, he's been a great friend. Johnny, you're next.
Thank you, Narina. Hi, everybody. This is Johnny Shi, and I represent Sino-American CPA Association to make this presentation. We, the CPA, is also the first liner to protect and help the taxpayer to file, not only to file their tax return, but also try to secure and safeguard their very personal information. I believe that as a CPA or as a professional tax return preparer, not only we need to protect ourselves, but also the most important thing is the information from the client.
I understand that.
From the client as well as from any other sources. There are several easy plans and actions that we can do to safeguard the client's data. The first thing is the IRS has issued a Security 6 basic protection. How to deploy the Security 6 protection? The first thing is very easy. Buy and install an antivirus software in the computer. Second thing is to set up a secure firewall. The third thing is to do the two-factor authentication on the information and communication between the CPAs and the client. And of course, we need to back up softwares and the service we provide to the taxpayer and the client. And we need to drive encryptions as well as use the VPN, the virtual private network, to secure the data, make sure that there's no breach. And once there is a breach, we need to know how to protect the client's information. But a lot of CPAs doesn't really know that according to the federal law, we, the CPA, are required to have a data security plan to protect the client's data. According to the FTC safeguard rule, tax professionals and other business must create and enact security plans to protect client data. Failure to do so may result in an FTC investigation. We can read the publication 4557 as well as publication 5293 for more detailed information. And also, we need to educate ourselves on what is a phishing scam. Many data thieves start with phishing email. They send an email to you from sources or from a company that you think you know. And once you click the link to a fake website, basically you open your computer to the thief. And also that spear phishing email to post as a trusted source. So make sure don't open the email you do not know, and make sure the email is from the company or from the source that you are aware of that. What the steps to help to protect data is we can use a separate personal and business email, and so that your personal email will not affect your business activities, and use a stronger password, use the two-factor authentication, and install anti-phishing tools, use security software. I believe as a professional, lately we have received updates from the software company, and each time you can see that they have not only changed the secure way to access the software, but they have updated the security method. Not only you need to do the two factors, but they will ask something else to verify you are the one who can access the data. Of course, you should never open or download any attachment from unknown senders, and password protected encrypt documents, and do not respond to suspicious or unknown emails. If IRS related, forward to the IRS phishing at the irs.gov. One thing I can advise all the practitioners is that never try to send or receive personal information through regular emails. You should always ask your client to send the email or data or tax return through a secure email or secure method to do that. The step 4 is recognize the signs of client data theft. Tax professionals should learn the signs of a possible data theft. Data theft may result in fraudulent tax returns being filed in their client's name, and cybercrimes are attack savvy in their attempt to gain sensitive tax data. And we can see that, especially in the beginning of each year, February, March, if you file tax return late before the due date, but in April, sometimes you're going to find out the return has been filed, even though you have not submitted they file electronically. Sometimes this is the sign of a client data has been stolen and somebody has filed the tax return on behalf of your client. So client file e-file return begins to reject, and clients who have not filed tax return begin to receive authentication letters. So, for example, 5071C or 4883C or 5747C from the IRS. And clients who have not filed tax return receive refunds. All these are signs of a client's data has been breached. And the clients or practitioners receive tax transcript that they did not request, or clients who created an IRS online service account are notified that their account was accessed or disabled. Of course, there are other variation. Clients receive notice that an account was created in their name. Generally speaking, if you have not done anything and you receive something, there is always a sign that there's some kind of a breach in the tax system. So the professional not only you need to safeguard the client's data, but you need to create a data theft recovery plan. An action plan can save valuable time and protect your clients and yourself. Make calling IRS an immediate action item. Once the data has been compromised, you should contact the IRS and law enforcement. Tax professional contact IRS Stakeholder Liaison immediately, such as Narina in Los Angeles area, and also search you can find information from Stakeholder Liaisons on IRS.gov. And you should also try to contact the expert. Basically, the state agency, the state in California is the Franchise Tax Board, or email to the Federation of Alert Tax Administration or State Attorney General's office. Then, of course, the experts will be the security expert or the IT experts and insurance company for further instruction. And that's the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Johnny, very much. And as Johnny said, if you're a tax practitioner and you're listening to our webinar today, and if you do experience a data breach, Stakeholder Liaison would be your first point of contact. In Los Angeles area, you can contact me, Lisa, or Lourdes. And if you're calling from another state, then we have a list of all the Stakeholder Liaisons on IRS.gov. Thank you very much, Johnny. And next on our panel is Janet Goody. She's a supervising investigator from County of Los Angeles Department of Consumer and Business Affairs with a message to consumers.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Janet Godoy. I'm a supervising investigator with Department of Consumer Business Affairs. We serve as a centralized reporting agency and information for LA County residents. What we do is we take a variety of complaints pertaining to anywhere from elder financial abuse, deceptive business practices, online purchases, and also identity theft, real estate matters. We also provide general information to the public on landlord-tenant rights. We do have rent control for unincorporated areas under LA County. We provide information and protection for the minimum wage ordinance for unincorporated areas of LA County, small claims court advisory program, mediation. So it's a wide variety of consumer protection and services that we provide to our LA County residents. But today, what I would like to do is provide you with information pertaining to what's coming up next. We are going to be going through tax time. Everybody's going to be preparing to file their tax returns. And especially now, due to the holidays, a lot of people may end up charging or overspending, using their credit cards to buy or pay for expenses, due to the, current financial hardship due to the pandemic, And also due to the holidays, there's going to be an increase in people using credit cards, relying on credit cards, charging, and just incurring more debt. But more than anything is, how are they going to repay for these debts? So hope that you could see my screen here. Would like to go over, for example, the type of complaints that we see during tax time. A lot of these complaints involved, for example, unscrupulous and misleading deceptive business practices by tax preparers and tax preparation service companies. And these are the things that we're looking for, and these are the things that we want our consumers to be aware of. A lot of people are going to be relying on these refund anticipation loans, as known as advance loans. They're advertised, why wait to receive your refund from the IRS? Why not come in? We'll do your taxes and we will provide you with your money up front. You could have it in as little as 2 to 3 days. So this is just an example of the type of complaints that most likely we will be seeing. And these are the things that we want to make the public aware of. If you do, for whatever reason, decide to move forward and take a refund anticipation loan, please be aware of this. A lot of times the taxpayer is not informed that the advance refund is a loan and the tax refund will be applied to a repaying loan. The interest rate being advertised verbally or non-verbally does not correspond with the interest rate the taxpayer is actually being charged. Hidden fees and charges are not disclosed. People are so eager to get their money up front that they fail to read and clearly understand what's behind these advance loans. Failure to provide written disclosure required by law pertaining to the advance refund. For example, like an anticipation loan fee schedule. So the terms of the loan are not provided in the language negotiated. That's a big one that, we get a lot of complaints on. People not understanding, what they signed or they agreed to. Being advertised as a non-recourse loan. However, due to the miscalculation with the tax refund or a government seizure of the taxpayer's refund, for example, student debt, child support or other related matters that, justify and can cause for that tax to be withheld, the taxpayer is being held liable for repayment of the loan. Advance payment is issued by a method which will require the taxpayer to incur undisclosed fees. For example, sometimes they're being given these loans through a prepaid debit card, such as a Master or Visa card, and there's also charges incurred to activate that, to withdraw the money. So those are just things to be mindful of and be aware of. Tax preparation fees, for example, being told you're going to be charged X amount of money, but then later on being told that that amount has actually increased and it's nowhere near what you anticipated it would be. Failure to disclose preparation fees are based on the percentage of the taxpayer's refund or the number of forms filed. A refund transfer fee or a refund anticipation check fee was not disclosed to the taxpayer. Failure to disclose preparation fees will be deducted from the taxpayer's refund. That's a big one. A lot of people are unaware of that. Unbeknownst to the tax preparer uses their own bank account information for the taxpayer's refund. So in other words, I'm the taxpayer and I'm anticipating that this money is going to appear in my own personal checking account. So there I am waiting for it. Little do I know that the money was actually deposited to my tax preparer's account. And then a lot of times maybe the tax preparer may disappear, is no longer in business, and then that just creates a big headache for the tax preparer in order to be able to collect their money. False advertising, not honoring the advertised cost for the tax preparation or the terms for the advance loan. Advertising incentives for referrals and not honoring the incentives being offered, such as cash, gift cards, or other type of services. We do see complaints coming in where they say, for example, a tax form may have not prepared correctly, or it's missing information, or it was never filed, causing the taxpayer to incur some type of a penalty, additional fees as well. Taxpayer alleging identity theft by the tax preparer. Keep in mind, We are also used to, okay, we're, going in front of a tax preparer, we're, confiding in them, giving them our social security information. We don't know who's actually behind the scene, who's reviewing those documents. We could only assume that they're taking the necessary precautions to guide them, to protect that information that we are providing them with. So we strongly encourage and recommend people to please, be mindful of who it is that you are relaying and giving this information to, One thing that a lot of people don't understand is, California does require all tax preparers to, that are going to be charging a fee to prepare the taxes to be either an attorney, a certified public accountant, CTIC registered tax preparer, or an enrolled agent. You as a tax preparer can verify this information through the California Tax Education Council by visiting their website at www.ctech.org. I strongly recommend anybody who's in the process of hiring somebody to do their taxes to please always verify that they are registered, do have an active license, okay? And also keep in mind that anyone preparing their taxes needs to make sure to sign off as a tax preparer, meaning they would have to sign their first and last name. If there is no signature, if there's no first and last name, you can't go back and say, well, I want to hold my tax preparer, for example, responsible for any errors that may have been done or any malpractice. So this is very important that the tax preparer sign your tax return, especially if you paid them for it. Something to keep in mind, the IRS is never, ever going to be sending you emails, text messages, or contacting you directly to provide any type of personal information. But most importantly is you have to protect your identity. Your Social Security is your identity. That's how you establish credit, your employer, your benefits, pension, Social Security, everything revolves around your Social Security. So it's really highly recommended that you protect, that you guard it, and you make sure that you fully understand and have verified who it is that you're releasing that information to. I always strongly recommend every consumer that I talk to please order a credit report at least once a year. Review it, make sure that all the information that's being reported is accurate, it's up to date. Even your mailing address, your names that you use, your employer information, make sure that everything is up to date on there. If you suspect or believe that you may have been a victim of identity theft, you need to order a credit report from all 3 credit bureaus. You need to dispute that information that is being reported. And how you can do that is by getting a police report, reaching out directly to the creditors, wherever it is that this suspect may have opened up an account. You want to make sure that you let the creditor know that you are a victim of identity theft. You have a police report, you're more than welcome, free to provide them with an affidavit form, letting them know that you are a victim, that these accounts were opened without your authorization. And dispute the information with the credit bureaus and the creditor. So that's something that, always, be mindful of the credit. Place a fraud alert. If you have been a victim, you could place a fraud alert. You could even suspend or create some type of a PIN through Experian. I know personally, I've done it myself where I've frozen my credit, where I don't want nobody, let's say, for example, I don't anticipate that I'm going to be applying or obtaining any credit cards or refinancing, so I freeze my credit. If I'm not using it, then you could create a freeze as well by reaching out to the credit bureaus. You could create an alert. There's just so many things that you could do in order to protect your identity. You could also register for credit monitoring directly with the credit bureaus. They will make you aware if there's any changes with your credit. Let's say, for example, if your credit score drops, if there's any fluctuation as far as the balances, the credit lines increasing, all of that information can be monitored, and you could receive that information as easy as a text or as an email. So right now, there's a lot of protections out there for us consumers. So it's very important that you become aware of that, are mindful, and protect your Social Security, protect your credit. So this is just information. If you would like to, take a screenshot or take a picture of the credit agencies to contact, there's Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. But most importantly is I always like to recommend people to please be mindful and please order that credit report at least once a year. Review it for accuracy, even though you may not suspect that anybody's out applying for credit. Just make sure that the information is actually correct. So you could call 877-322-8228 to order a free credit report on annualcreditreport.com, or you could go directly on to their website at www.annualcreditreport.com. Now, for anybody that suspects or believes that they may have been defrauded by an income tax preparation service provider, you know, you could, as long as the tax preparer is within LA County or the consumer is located within LA County, you could file a complaint with the Department of Consumer and Business Affairs. We will look into that matter. If there's anything that we believe that should be best handled, or there's specific direct questions that can only be addressed by the IRS, then we will refer the consumer to get that assistance directly from the IRS. If you have any questions or would like to file a complaint or have been a victim of any type of deceptive business practices, false advertisement, please feel free to give us a call at 800-593-8222, or you could visit our website. We have lots of valuable information available to LA County residents at dcba.lacounty.gov. And thank you so much for taking the time to hear me out today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janet, for your presentation. Next, I would like to invite Ben Raju, District Director from Los Angeles District Office of Small Business Administration. And I'll ask Ben to share some messages for businesses.
Fantastic. And thank you, Narina, and thank you, KCAL, as always, for being a fantastic host, and Johnny, always for your great information and hospitality. And this is a great lineup. Derek, your team always does a fantastic job, 5 years running, and look forward to this going on for longer and longer, with great partners like KCAL and the CPA Association, as well as community stakeholders and federal partners and state partners, like we just heard from the Department of Consumer and Business Affairs. These types of information are vital. And as Congresswoman Chu, who is a staunch advocate for all things small business, as well as advocates for underserved and minority communities, is a strong advocate for making sure that this information reaches all populations. And with stakeholders and partners such as yourselves, this is amazing, and really the way that we can make sure that this information gets to the folks that need it. And I'm happy and proud to be a part of this, and provide a little bit of information for us about SBA, our programs and services, as well as a little bit of information about some of the challenges that we're facing with fraud, and some of our constituents are facing with fraud here currently. Next slide. Oh, there we go. And we'll jump over to the next slide as well. Fantastic. Now, the SBA, and I see a lot of familiar names and faces on the screen, and a lot of familiar names in our participant category. There are a lot of folks, you're probably familiar with what the SBA does, but we are here to make the American's dream of business ownership a reality. We empower entrepreneurs. We help people start, grow, and expand their small businesses, but also recover, as many folks are learning, from natural as well as man-made disasters through our various different programs and services. We were created in 1953, and we are the federal government's resource to be able to back our small businesses. And that is our mission, and that is what we're here for. Next slide. It's important that folks are able to really understand the different roles that the SBA plays. And if we can go to the next slide, you'll get a chance to see that we really support in 4 different areas. We provide free business counseling. We provide SBA guaranteed loans. We also provide home and business disaster loans. such as our economic injury disaster loan program, which many folks, which I'll be talking about a little bit here. But we also assist small business owners with government contracting efforts as well. And what I wanted to touch on was the fact that as you go through your small business journey, I know a lot of us are facing many different challenges and many different obstacles right now. Know that the SBA is here to be able to help you through every stage of the process. If it's for the inception of your business, to be able to start your business, if you have an idea and you're looking for somebody to be able to help guide you through the process, the SBA is here to be able to provide no-cost business counseling to be able to help you guide your idea to a reality. Through our resource partner network and the variety of different folks that we have working within our ecosystem, we can help you not only plan for that dream, but make it a reality. We all offer in-language services. We have a variety of different languages that we speak in our, not only in our office, but throughout our network. And if there is somebody that that would like that type of assistance, the SBA is your stop to be able to get that. If you're looking for financing for your business, the SBA offers guaranteed loans through our lending partners. Whether it's looking to purchase real estate for your business, or whether you're looking to expand through purchasing machinery and equipment, if you need operating costs or expenses to be able to cover, the SBA is here to be able to assist you in that area through our lending partners as well. If you're looking at diversifying your revenue stream, and this is an important fact that I want folks to really consider looking into as you take away something from this discussion today. We're going through challenging times, and in challenging times, the federal government really does step up. As Congresswoman Chu said earlier, the federal government and all of our representatives are working very diligently to make sure that our small business owners have the resources that they need. One of the resources that we're able to leverage is diversifying your revenue stream. If you have, if you currently do retail business, or if you currently have a service type business, or if you do consulting, or if you do manufacturing of goods and services, the federal government buys all kinds of things. We are the largest purchasers and consumers of all things. Whether it is the computers that we use, whether it is our internet service providers, whether it is our cell phones, whether it is our presentations, our software, different things, the vehicles that we drive, the pens and papers that we use, we buy everything that's out there, and we have a mission to purchase from small businesses. And if you are not doing business with the government and have thought about doing that, really look into that and reach out to our office and have that discussion with us to be able to understand whether or not that is a good way for you to diversify your revenue stream. Because in times of difficulty, the federal government spends more. As you've seen throughout the past months, almost into a year now, the injection of revenue into the economy to be able to help our community recover is tremendous, and that is done in part by working with small business owners and with folks in the community, whether it's trying to figure out a distribution mechanism for the vaccine, whether it's trying to figure out personal protective equipment, plexiglass, different types of things that are purchased right here in our community to be able to help keep us safe, as well as get our economy back and have it continue running. Look into whether or not federal government contracting is right for your business, and whether or not we can help guide you on that journey. The last thing that I want to talk about, and this is what I'm going to spend some time on, because I think it's very near and dear to everybody that's on the call today. We'll go ahead and go to the next slide. It's a home and business disaster loan. I'm going to give a couple of facts and figures here. The SBA, we typically are known for our counseling assistance, our loan programs. through our traditional lending programs. And this year, this past fiscal year, which was fiscal year 20, we exceeded about $28 billion in financing to small businesses. And through the enactment of the CARES Act, that actually dramatically increased our volume, not only from the number of loans that we processed, but also the dollar value and the dollar volume of those loans. Through the Paycheck Protection Program, which I think many folks have heard about, we provided additional 5.2 million loans worth over $525 billion to small business owners, or to business owners. Through SBA's Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, we added another 3.6 million loans valued at $191 billion, as well as 5.7 million idle advance loans worth over $20 billion. Now, that's a lot of money, and that's a lot of loans and a lot of transactions. And as our friends from the IRS, as well as from the LA County Department of Consumer and Business Affairs noted, as well as the Congresswoman mentioned during her discussion, is that although these resources are out there to be able to help people, there are bad actors that are out there that are trying to get information and take advantage of these programs. Next slide, please. Through these difficult times, we've seen the best of our community. We've seen people come together. We've seen people join in, making sure that their neighbors are taken care of, making sure that food is delivered, that folks that need resources are able to get them. We see community organizations come together. We see folks like KCAL and the Sino organization to be able to pull together to be able to help assist our communities get through these challenges. But there are also bad actors out there that are trying to take advantage of our constituents and the situation that everybody is in. And I know that Janet covered quite a few of these different things, so I'm going to go quickly through it. If you find yourself the victim of fraud, or if you suspect that you're a victim of fraud, it is imperative that you take immediate action. We have to make sure that these resources are available to everybody. And just so everybody knows, we will be sending out these slides to folks, as well as they'll be translated for folks into, I think for these purposes, it'll be Cantonese and Mandarin for folks to be able to have access to this information as well in language. So don't worry about trying to translate or trying to put this information down right now. We will make sure that Kenny and his team gets this information and is able to send it out to all of our participants. But it's imperative that folks take real quick steps in order to protect their identity and protect as much damage as possible from happening. We have seen people that have, are imitating themselves to be somebody else. We're seeing folks that are, alleging to be business owners that are not business owners, and as well as using other people's identity in order to access these funds. And that's just wrong. And business owners, as well as individuals that don't have businesses, that become victim of this, need to be able to take action. And if you have found yourself in this situation, first and foremost, file a police report, notify local authorities, but also notify the SBA. If it's regarding an idle loan and you get something in the mail that says, hey, you have a loan and your repayment's going to start, in 6 months or a year from now, and you're like, wait, I didn't take out a loan. Not only did I not take out a loan, I don't have a business. Let us know right away. And that way we can try and mitigate any of the impact of this as much as possible on our end. Log a report online with our Office of Inspector General. This is important. We're working with not only our other federal partners like the IRS, like the Department of Justice, the FBI, Department of Treasury. We're also working with our state and local partners. And that's our Inspector General's office, making sure that any of these folks that are doing these things are prosecuted and they're not able to take advantage of anybody else. And the more information that we have, the stronger our opposition to this can become, because as we put together all of the information, we're able to identify whether it's an individual or an organization, if it's more organized, if it's just one-off. That information helps us navigate this, and it also protects you because it's creating a record. Next slide. Which I know was in the Department of Consumer Business Affairs. One of the things down towards the bottom was to log all your calls and make sure that you document everything that you're doing. Please make sure you do that. Also, file a dispute with the credit agency. Let them know that, hey, this isn't something that I initiated. This isn't something that I charged, and I'm working to fix it. I know we had the Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax information that was on there earlier. Make sure you cover all three of these agencies and consider placing a freeze with them so nobody else can take advantage of your information. File a report with your situation with the Federal Trade Commission, which I know we're going to hear from our friends over there here shortly. But make sure you print and save all of the information in these reports and different things that you do. Make sure you save them on your computer. Next slide, please. Now, all of this information is a lot, right? And it is, daunting to be a part of this or to fall victim to this. And it's really hard to, I think, navigate along with all of the other challenges that you could be facing at this time. But please know that you're not alone. SBA has resource partners. I mentioned that we have one-on-one counseling services to be able to assist folks and small business owners through all different types of challenges. And this is one of them. If you need assistance in navigating this process or being able to help overcome some of these challenges that your businesses may be facing during this time, whether it's fraud related, whether it's about revenue streams, whether it's about other things, our resource partners are here to be able to assist. And these resources are available to you 24 hours a day through our website, but our live one-on-one local assistance, whether it's through Zoom or on the phone or through Teams, you can meet with folks and discuss your situation. They can work with you one-on-one at no charge to you to be able to help overcome these challenges. Obviously, our disaster recovery programs, we have disaster recovery specialists that are able to work with you. And we also have other coronavirus recovery resources, and these are all the links to those resources. Next slide, please. If you need to speak with somebody specifically about your EIDL loan or EIDL fraud, this is the number to call to ensure that you reach our disaster office directly. And the email is disastercustomerservice@sba.gov. But I really want you to pay attention to the next slide. Next slide, please. We're your local resource. This is my office here in Los Angeles. That's our website. That's our phone number, our email address, as well as our Twitter handle. If you need help navigating, or if you're not sure where to go to be able to get assistance, come to us. If you don't take away any other contact information today, take this one. Save this information. If your business needs assistance, if you need help understanding where to go to be able to receive assistance, if you're a victim of fraud, or if you want to understand what types of assistance you may be eligible for, my folks here in the Los Angeles District Office are here to serve you and to be able to assist you through this process. We speak a variety of different languages. Mandarin Cantonese is one of them, or two of them, and we can be able to provide you services in language. If for some reason we need to connect you with other folks through our network, we'll make sure that you're provided those services in the most comfortable way possible for you. We know these are difficult times. We are here to serve you, and we are here to help you through this process. I'm welcome anybody to reach out. Again, my name is Ben. Last name is Raju. If you do email lado@sba.gov, please feel free to reference today's call. and any questions that you may have, and I'd be happy to help address them. Myself or my team will be able to make sure that we reach out to you directly and get you to the right resources. With that, I want to thank everybody for the opportunity today to be able to have this discussion, and look forward to the rest of the presentations.
Thank you very much, Ben. Next, with a message on protecting Americans' consumers, I'd like to invite Maricela Segura. She's the Director of Western Region from Federal Trade Commission. Maricela?
Thank you, Narina, and thank you, KCAL, for inviting me to speak to you all today. I am Maricela Segura, of course, Regional Director of the FTC's, the Federal Trade Commission's Western Region Los Angeles office. And I want to share a few tips on staying safe. We heard earlier some cybersecurity tips, which were really great, such as using strong passwords, considering using two-factor authorization, which takes 2 steps to identify yourself to, say, your bank or another website with which you're doing business. Those are great tips. I want to add a few more on cybersecurity. When you're out in the public and using public Wi-Fi, be very careful. Just know that if you're using public Wi-Fi or free Wi-Fi, you can just assume that others might be able to view your keystrokes. So if you have to do some kind of business over a free or public Wi-Fi, make sure that you're doing it over an encrypted website. And if a website's encrypted, you can usually tell because it'll say HTTPS. The S is for secure. So you want to make sure that you see that prefix before the website, and you'll know that your information that you send over that website is encrypted, which means it's scrambled. So so hackers can't see the keystrokes or your account numbers or your login over that website. So you always look out for the HTTPS when you're doing business. And someone else had mentioned keeping your software up to date. If your software is up to date, your browser software is up to date, it will usually identify a risky website for you. So that's often another measure of protection, because your software will tell you that this website is not secure. I will also suggest that when you are out, consider, if you're going to use free Wi-Fi, consider logging out of your accounts. Don't stay permanently logged in, so that you're not, a hacker can't go straight from your hacking through your phone or your activity straight to your account. So, as I mentioned, so generally you will want to check out for that HTTPS. And also consider turning on two-factor authorization for any websites, especially like your banking websites or websites that contain your sensitive financial information. Pivoting now to the kinds of scams that we're seeing. I think if you take nothing else away from today, it's that do not give out your personal information to people who are calling you out of the blue or contacting you out of the blue. So scammers, we know they're following the headlines. They're very creative. They will call and engage. They'll be imposters, as Congresswoman Chu said. They will pose as someone else. They'll pose as the IRS, as the Small Business Administration. They'll pose as the Social Security Administration. And we see this happening, by way of robocall, emails, or texts. And the scams might look a little bit different, but there are some elements that are very similar. So one, if someone contacts you out of the blue and is asking for your personal information, like your Social Security number or your date of birth, or some other identifier that they can use to then steal your identity, just know that that is probably a scam. Or if they're asking for your financial information, that's probably a scam, because reputable government agencies, businesses are not going to ask you for that personal information out of the blue. Also know, if they're trying to rush you into action, you must give me this information now. It's probably a scam. If you're feeling rushed to do something or to jump and act and give up your information or your payment details, that's a surefire sign of a scam. Another surefire sign of the scam is if they're asking you to pay some amount of money to fix a problem, like let's say it's one of those fake IRS calls and they're saying that you owe the IRS money and you'd better pay up immediately or else you'll be arrested. Well, they will often, not only will they tell you better pay immediately or something terrible will happen, but they will tell you to pay in a form that's not reversible or unprotected. So they might say, pay with using gift cards or with some kind of immediate transfer of money. You know, the IRS, I mean, not only will the IRS not call you and threaten you like that, but they also won't demand that you pay in a certain way, nor will your utilities like, you know, water and power, they're not going to demand a certain form of payment for you either on a delinquent bill. And more likely than not, you will have received some kind of notification by mail before you get a call out of the blue. So what are the scams that we're seeing right now? Well, we're seeing a lot of robocall scams, and that's, you know, I know you all know what robocalls are. And so we continue to hear about complaints about Social Security Administration scams saying that your Social Security number has been compromised. You know, earlier in the fall, we heard a lot of reports of people receiving robocalls from imposters posing as being part of the Chinese consulate and asking for personal information that way. We anticipate hearing more about these fake IRS calls where they claim to be from the IRS and saying that you owe them money. And some of these scammers are really sophisticated. They will actually spoof the number. So it looks like it's coming from the IRS. Maybe caller ID will show a Washington, D.C. number, or it might even say IRS. What I'm here to say is if you get a robocall out of the blue from somebody who's asking for your personal identification or money, take a beat. Don't do anything. Stop. Get information. If it's a robocall, what you want to do is hang up that robocall. Even if the robocall says press 1 to be taken off our list or press 1 to get in touch with an operator, do not press 1 or do not press 0 or whatever it instructs you to do. You want to hang up that phone call because pressing that number, the digit, will just ensure or will just let the scammers know that this is a good live number. There's a real person on the other side, and it will just ensure you get more robocalls. You know, we're seeing in terms of these imposter scams, we're seeing people, now that everybody's working from home, employees, they're working remotely like we are, I'm working remotely. Scammers are posing as if they're members of small business IT teams, and maybe they've done their homework. They know, you know, certain names of people, and they're calling and saying, you know, I'm from the IT department, and we're not going to be using Teams, or we're not going to be using Zoom for the meeting anymore. I'm going to send you a link to a new software we're going to use, and that software or that email with the link contains malware. So they're getting savvy. They're posing as people from your business. And so for small business owners, what we're saying is that the most protected workplace is an informed workplace. So you want your employees to have a point of contact, to know that, you know, someone might call you out of the blue, could call you out of the blue and ask you for some information about our business or ask you to do something like pay a particular bill. Here are the people to contact just to make sure that you're doing the right thing. So give them a good IT contact. So if they have any questions about, you know, virus software being up to date or any IT questions, they know who to call instead of reacting immediately to whomever calls them out of the blue. We're also seeing, hearing complaints of these fake invoice scams, and oftentimes these invoices will come by mail and they look legitimate. And right now, small businesses are buying all kinds of things they've never had to buy before. Personal protective equipment, cleaning supplies. So, you know, your accounting staff might, you know, think that this is a legitimate invoice. So again, you want to let them know who can they talk to before they, you know, if they have a question about a particular invoice that doesn't look typical or doesn't look like the normal thing they usually pay, who can they talk to before they make that payment? Give them a point of contact. For consumers, we're seeing a lot of what are called phishing scams, phishing emails and texts. And these are emails that come out of the blue or text, and what they're looking for is your personal information. And what are these looking like? Well, some of them are COVID related. And so in some instances, we've seen emails that claim to be from the World Health Organization, and they contain information about how to protect yourself. And you can click through a link in the email itself to get further information about, you know, how to protect yourself or resources that are available. What others have said today, and I'm just going to repeat it, it deserves repeating: do not click on links from emails that come to you out of the blue. If you think that it's from a legitimate sender, and you're actually interested in what the World Health Organization has to say about how to protect yourself, go to the website itself. Do not click through the link of the email that came to you out of the blue. Go to the World Health Organization website. If you want information about, coronavirus relief or the resources that the federal government has assembled, for example, you could go to usa.gov/coronavirus, which will have links to a lot of good information from reputable sources. Rather than clicking through links from emails and texts that come to you out of the blue, go straight to the websites that are trusted. What else are we seeing? Well, we're seeing a lot of texts that are basically these package or waiting for you scams. Now, right now, we're all ordering things online. They're coming to us by mail. And so you'll be seeing, and I've received a number of these texts that say, your package is waiting for you at the depot. Click here to get more information. Well, that click here, that link is more likely to download malware. If you think you might have a package waiting for you at, say, UPS depot or FedEx depot, call the source. Do not click the link that comes to you out of the blue. Go straight to the, UPS website, get a phone number, or look on the website itself. Go straight to FedEx website, get a phone number to call, or pursue the tracking number that way, rather than clicking a link that comes to you by text. We're also hearing about contact tracing scams. Well, contact tracers, these are people who are hired by state health departments to reach out to people to inform them that they have been in contact with somebody who's infected with COVID-19. And in California, they're using the organization called California Connected. And so I know that, these contact tracers, they don't want your personal information. They do not want your payment information. They're really just trying to get you help. So I'll tell you what contact tracers will not do. They're not going to ask for money. They're not going to ask for financial information. They won't ask for your bank card or your credit card number to verify who you are. They're not going to ask you for your social security number. They're certainly not going to inquire about your immigration status. That does not matter for contact tracing purposes. And they won't solicit you to click a link or an email that's purporting to have more information if you click a link. Usually the way this goes down, if they do contact you, say by phone or by text, it's usually to inform you that you're going to have a conversation, to set up a phone call to discuss what's happened. So just if you get an email or a text or even a call from contact tracer out of the blue, don't start divulging your personal information. Don't give over payment information. That is not what real contact tracers are looking for. So I guess just overall, the bottom line message is, if somebody calls you out of the blue and they're asking you for your personal details or your money, take a beat. Ask them for their information so you could check it out and call them back. Usually when you stop and you say, oh, well, that sounds interesting. Can I get your name and number? They will hang up on you. If it's a live call, they'll hang up on you because they don't want to deal with you. They know you're not going to be an easy mark. But better safe than sorry. And it's okay that you make, even if you think you're dealing with a legitimate person, you're just a little bit suspicious, it's okay that you make that person wait. It's okay, because you need to protect yourself first. And anybody who's reputable, who wants to help you, will understand that. So I'll leave you with this. If you are a victim of identity theft, I know Ben Raju had given out this website, and I'll hand it over to Narina to share with the group, but go to identitytheft.gov. That is the FTC's one-stop shop for developing an identity theft recovery or rehabilitation plan. This is how you can recover from identity theft. And on that, in identitytheft.gov, you'll have a step-by-step plan on how to go about stopping the damage from identity theft. And there will be information like form letters that you can send to the credit reporting agencies, phone numbers to call, and ways to dispute, say, debts that you think were incurred in your name as a result of identity theft. Also, I encourage you to stay up to date on the latest scam trends. We are very good, the FTC is very good about keeping up and issuing consumer reports on the latest trends. In fact, today we just issued a report on calls that are going out to people purporting to be from Amazon and from Apple, because a lot of people, again, are ordering things online, and so there are callers, scam calls that are purporting to be from Amazon claiming that there's something wrong with your account. So keep up to date on the latest. To do that, you can go to ftc.gov/subscribe. You could subscribe to our consumer alerts. And if you are a victim of fraud, or if you just see a fraud, even if you're not a victim and you just want to report fraud, go to reportfraud.ftc.gov. We share our fraud reports with over 700 agencies and law enforcement agencies, civil and criminal, across the country. And they look at these reports to see what the trends are, to understand the latest frauds. It not only informs the FTC's own enforcement efforts, like who we will pursue and sue and investigate, but it informs the law enforcement across the country. It also informs what we're going to do in terms of consumer education, like what we're engaged in now, which is just really important, because we want to really, actually, the best protection is an informed populace. So if you see a scam, report it to us and also pass it on to your neighbors and friends. Let them know what you're seeing out there so that they don't fall victim. It's one thing for somebody like me or all of us to tell each other that what we're seeing, but you know, we see more and more consumers are really bound to follow the advice of their friends and family. So help out your friends and family by alerting them to the scams you're seeing, and make sure not to give out your personal information or your financial information to people calling you out of the blue. And so with that, I will just hang back and stick around for questions after. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Marcella. That's a lot of great information. Next on our agenda, we have the Internal Revenue Service special agent, although he's having some issues calling in. So what about we move on to my colleague, Lisa Hamilton. Is Lisa still on? While we try to work, we'll try to work with our criminal investigator to see if he can join us later. Thank you. Lisa, you're on mute.
How about that?
Yes.
Sorry.
Great, thank you.
So as we heard from everyone, we really want to make sure that we reiterate that not only personal, but if you are a small business, you are also at risk. A lot of the cyber attacks are on small businesses with 100 or fewer employees. So we want to make sure that we kind of drive this message home. We want to make sure that, you know, we realize that some businesses have had to pivot. Some businesses have gone from office into their home, or even if you're still at your site working, we want to make sure that you, number one, secure all data. Make sure that you make your employees' information secure, especially if you're working at home, and make sure you secure their personally identifiable data. We want you to make sure that you secure your system. If you have a router, you could change the password on, make sure you do that. Again, use strong passwords. We want to make sure that you train your staff, keep them up to date with changes regarding the data that you exchange online. We want to definitely implement, we don't want you to share information with people who you do not have a relationship with. Someone that may come off, oh, I'm an executive of the company, I need W-2 information. Make sure you verify that. If you're in a position that, you know, you have access to your employees' data, make sure that you're sharing it with someone that should have that information. We want to also, you could go to the next slide. We also want to make sure that you know that if you pivoted and you've gone to your home, make sure you secure your information in a location that is not accessible to anyone besides yourself. We want to make sure that all of your devices are secure, especially those that have personal identifiable information on, and also make sure that you are using that multi-prong authentication practice. It's very important, and it's so quick that it's just much more secure because they can't intercept that in the few seconds that you have to use that code. We want you to definitely make sure that you are watching for the phishing scams. We want to make sure, especially the ones for COVID-19. We realize that there are federal scams regarding COVID-19, especially economic impact payments, where they can ask you for your information saying that they're trying to get your refund to you. Be very cautious. We definitely want to make sure you share that message with others who may need information on economic impact payments. Always use irs.gov. Next slide. You can go to our website, and it also has the Dirty Dozen, and these are tax scams that continue to happen. We want you to also protect yourselves. The Security Summit consists of IRS, state agencies, and tax community, and this is our partnership. However, we need you to do as much as you can to keep your data secure. Next slide. Our next slide is go to the next slide. Our next slide is a snapshot of our Identity Theft Central. This is at irs.gov, identity theft, and this is a wealth of information, especially what FTC was just speaking about. It has all of your forms and anything that you can do in order to be proactive in this. And for businesses, if you believe that you've been scammed regarding your taxes, you're going to quickly fill out a 14039B. That's going to have all the information on it, and you're going to contact the FTC. Next slide. Remember, FTC.gov is also a wealth of information and resources to keep your small business safe from cyber threats. Make sure you definitely don't fall for phishing scams. Read those emails. If you're tired, take a minute, close it, and reopen it. Make sure it's a familiar source. Businesses are definitely, even food businesses that do ordering online, we want everybody to make sure you step up your measures to keep your information safe. And that's all I have today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Lisa. We're still trying to get our criminal investigator online, but now we're going to move on to my other colleague, Lulu Jimenez. Lulu?
Yes, hi, good afternoon. Okay, perfect. There's the screen I was looking for. I'm going to talk about the identity protection PIN, the IP PIN. The identity protection identification number, or IP PIN, is a 6-digit number assigned to eligible taxpayers to help prevent the misuse of the Social Security number on fraudulent federal income tax returns. For the past few years, we have seen a rise in fraudulent tax returns being received. So the expansion of the IP program to all taxpayers has been a huge advancement in our fight against identity theft. The IP PIN is known only to the individual taxpayer and the IRS. It will change every year. Each January, you will be assigned a new IP PIN valid for that calendar year. You or your trusted tax preparer will enter the 6-digit number when prompted by the tax preparation software, excuse me. Next slide, please. Okay, the IP PIN program has evolved since its launch in 2011. Originally, it was reserved for confirmed victims of tax-related identity theft. In 2014, it expanded to certain states as an opt-in to getting an IP PIN. In 2020, it was expanded to 19 states. The IRS has changed the policy again to include all taxpayers interested in applying for an IP PIN. Next slide, please. The IP PIN helps prevent identity theft from a thief from filing a tax return in your name and verifies your identity to the IRS. IRS Publication 5367, the IP PIN Opted Program for taxpayers, is currently available on irs.gov in both English and Spanish, and it further details the information summarized today. There is a one-time registration process to create an account with the IRS. You can use View Your Account to register now, or you can wait until mid-January and use the Get an IP PIN tool. For further details, you can access www.irs.gov/secure access. Next slide, please. Once you access Get an IP PIN tool in mid-January, your IP PIN is immediately revealed. If you are unable to verify your identity online, your option depends on your income. If your income is $72,000 or less, you will need to file a form 15227, and an IRS assister will call and verify your identity over the phone using tax return information. You will receive an IP PIN the next filing season via U.S. Postal Service. If your income is $72,000 or more, you will need to call the IRS to make an appointment with your local taxpayer assistance center. Bring 2 forms of identification, including 1 picture ID, to verify your identity in person. You will receive an IP PIN in 3 weeks through the mail. Next slide, please. Please, and this is very important, do not share your IP PIN with anyone but your trusted tax preparer. If you self-prepare your return, enter the IP PIN when asked by the software product. If you use a paid preparer, share with him or her when requested. If you utilize the VITA-free tax preparation service, you will also need to provide the IP PIN for transmission of your return. No one will call, email, or text, certainly not the IRS, to request your IP PIN. Thieves will be trying very hard to get your IP PIN, so you must keep it secure. If you opt into the IP PIN program through the online tool, you must return each year in January to obtain a newly generated IP PIN for the calendar year. The IRS plans to offer an opt-out feature to the IP PIN program in 2022 if taxpayers find it is not right for them. And once again, please do not share your IP PIN with anyone other than your tax preparer. And that is all I have for today. Thank you. But Marina?
Thank you very much, Lulu. And everyone, we are apparently having issues with accessing, with our criminal investigator accessing our website. But it is we are almost at the end of our presentation. Well, first, I want to thank all our participants for sharing great information. On behalf of the IRS and our partners, I want to thank you for attending, and I hope you leave this forum with knowledge on how to protect yourself and your businesses. We will try to put together a resource page, and that could be emailed to all participants today. And
Narina, do you mind
Yes.
if I see this is Maricela. I see a question in the chat and it's sort of FTC related, so I figured I could try to answer.
That would be great. Thank you, Maricela.
Yeah, no problem. The question is, how does a scammer continue to call even after the do not call list and block the number on my cell phone? So this is actually a really important point. The do not call list, if you've registered your phone number on there, the reputable companies who are following the law are looking at that list, and they're making sure that they don't call those numbers on that list. That is one surefire way. If you're getting a robocall or some call from a retailer and you are on the do not call list, you know from the start that that call is not legal unless you've opted into that call in writing. unless you've opted in to accept that call from that retailer. So that's a good way to know that the call already is illegal. And we all know this. We're not getting the calls we're getting that are robocalls or these just calls from random people or companies are not usually those reputable, trusted companies that we work with all the time. So that's a really good question. The do not call list will alert those players, those people who are playing by the rules, those companies, that they shouldn't be calling your number. So it does work to prevent a lot of calls from those reputable players who follow the rules. Now, in terms of blocking the number on your cell, if you continue to get phone numbers from a number you think you've blocked, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with your situation, but I have a guess that they're probably utilizing what's called spoofing. So that's where they can make the call look like it's coming from the number you've blocked, but they're actually calling you from another number. Another thing that happens is that scammers shed these numbers like on a regular basis. They can just rent out a new number pretty readily. So, you can't always prevent the calls from happening, but what your best defense is not to pick up the phone, not to dial one, not to engage. If you do get a number from a call from somebody and you know that they're violating the do not call list, let us know, report it to us. And we do publish these numbers from the people reporting. We publish them on a regular basis so that companies will know, or that people will know to block those numbers preemptively. And the carriers are taking more of an active role in preemptively blocking some of these numbers. So that's all I wanted to say. I saw that question.
Thank you very much, Marcella. That is the question that did come up. But if you haven't left yet, please don't, because we just got our criminal investigator, Eric Borden, was able to join us. He has a lot of good information. And for those of you who could stay around, please do so. Eric, you have the floor.
Everyone can hear me? Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. I apologize for the issues I was having, and I appreciate everybody who is continuing to stay on the call. And so my name is Eric Bott, and I'm a supervisory special agent with IRS Criminal Investigation. I work out of the San Bernardino office, assigned to the out of LA. So we have 7 working agents. We have 2 professional staff employees, as well as 1 investigative specialist who support the agents on their work. Just to give you an idea, as far as our area of coverage, we go as far north as Victorville, as far east as Palm Springs. We go as far south as like Temecula area, and then we'll go over to the 605 freeway. Moving west into LA. Next slide, please. So this is our mission statement: criminal investigation, serving the American public, investigating criminal violations of the Internal Revenue Code and related financial crimes in a manner to foster confidence in the tax system as well as compliance with the law. So what does that mean? It's just a bunch of big words, but it just means we work tax fraud investigations, money laundering investigations, domestic terrorism, political corruption cases, and now with cyber crimes, we work cyber crimes if there's a tax nexus, as well as identity theft cases, again, when there's a tax nexus. Next slide. So just an overview of what we'll be talking about here today, just an evolution as far as what we're seeing with cyber crimes. Hopefully you'll get some awareness as far as how it will affect you, and to prevent data breaches, losses of personal identifying information as far as with your tax clients, where the information ends up, where we see it going, and just the different types of threats that we're seeing as well. Next slide, please. So just the evolution of tax fraud. Schemers today are moving from, working out of their home, where we're seeing somebody, mailing in maybe 200 to 300 returns, or maybe e-filing the same amount of returns. It's more organized. It's more multinational. We're seeing people in different states working together, which makes it a little more difficult for us because they start sending returns to different service centers across the country. And they'll also use Bitcoin to hide, their footsteps. And again, Bitcoin is good for them because they're able to hide the fruits of the criminal activity a little harder. We're out there still working it. We've got agents dedicated to these types of cases out of the LA field office as well as out of the New York field office. They're dedicated groups of agents who only work cyber-related investigations, not only domestically, but internationally as well. And then, the information they steal, either they use it to file fraudulent tax returns, or they'll sell the information on the dark web. And we'll talk a little bit about that here just to give you kind of a little flavor of what is the dark web. Next slide, please. Let's see. Sorry, trying to keep up with you. I've got it going on my computer as well. So with this slide, it just shows you just the amount of data that we see being stolen the last few years. You'll see there's over 15 billion records that have been stolen. And what that amounts to is about 74 records every second, and obviously that's a lot. So the takeaway that I would hope you would get from this is that cybersecurity is a big deal. It's really the wave of how business is being done, and that identity theft is real. And for you just to take the necessary precautions to protect the taxpayer information that you have as far as with the tax returns that you prepare for your clients. Next slide, please. So challenges with the tax system itself. We were seeing between 2015 and 2019, there was actually a drop in the amount of ID theft cases that we were seeing come into IRS. In 2015, it was around maybe like 670,000, which was about a drop of about 71% from what we saw last year, where we just saw a little under 200,000 fraudulent tax returns being an attempt as far as being processed through IRS and the different service centers around the country. Obviously, we're also starting to partner with you and other financial services like the mortgage industry, the bank industry. And with those partnerships, we also saw we're able to stop an additional returns as far as volume with money, that is, of about $1.4 billion. Overall, IRS has successfully stopped about $24 billion in fraudulent refunds going out the last maybe 5-6 years because of the efforts we're putting into cybersecurity internally here within the IRS. Next slide, please. Okay. So, just combating ID theft, it's a big deal for us. When we were seeing an uptick in cyber-related crimes back in 2012, we only had about 11 filters that we would use to try to identify fraudulent returns that were coming in through the service centers. Now we have over 200 different types of fraud filters that we apply to returns. So that's good. Obviously, that is a huge reason why we were seeing a decrease of the 71% as far as with ID theft, taxpayers filing the identity theft affidavits. And this is in Maine IRS. This isn't necessarily CI, but Maine IRS is also limiting the number of the refund splits that you see on returns, where a lot of times fraudsters would split the refund in between like 4 or 5 accounts. Now they're starting to limit the number of accounts that can be used on the returns to split the refund up to 3. So that's helping because it limits money being sent everywhere. And then now we're trying to track down who's the perpetrator behind the scheme as far as with the refunds being split like that. And of course, having better relations with our internal and external business partners it's been a huge plus for criminal investigation. Again, like I said just a few seconds ago, working with our financial business partners in mortgaging and banking industry. Next slide, please. So I talked a little bit as far as, well, where does all this go, right? People's personal identifying information, and what's happening is it's going onto the dark web. And just to give you a little flavor of what that is, it's like the internet, but it's offline, meaning that it doesn't use IPS addresses like we're familiar with through Verizon or whoever you may have your internet with. And people use it for illegal activity. We've seen people soliciting murder for hire. We've obviously the sale of illegal narcotics and gun trafficking, drug trafficking is huge on the dark web. We again are the agents that we have embedded in LA and out of New York. They're fully dedicated to these work in these types of cases, and when there's opportunities to shut down different servers that are operating on the dark web, we do it. We've had great success with it. You've probably seen some of the cases recently in the news. So it is difficult. It's not easy to work, but we have had success shutting down these types of illegal dark web servers. Next slide, please. So this is an example of what you would see on the dark web. Here it's, stolen personal identifying information, and somebody's trying to sell a, information for $200. And if you look to the left, you can also see there's, you could purchase different types of chemicals, used for, producing meth or illegal narcotics, drug paraphernalia. Like I said, anything that you can think of that's illegal, you can do it on the dark web. And so yeah, this is just a screenshot we had gotten off one of the servers we had shut down, and just sharing it with you just so you could see the type of information that you can purchase there out on the dark web. Next slide, please. So, how does this necessarily affect you, right, as the tax professionals, out there preparing tax returns for the American public? Again, the takeaway would be just to understand that it's important to have, strong passwords, that your servers are secure, that they're not, easily accessible. With this, and these are a few examples that we're seeing as far as when servers are not secure, the types of examples we see as far as with people who are able to breach them. With distributed denial of service, what that is people who maybe have 100 computers, and they'll just start shooting information simultaneously to a certain server. And then what happens is the hope obviously is either to shut it down or to backdoor it and find a way to be able to steal information off of it. Phishing obviously is huge. You'll see, you'll get emails, right? I'm sure that's been talked about a lot here, but I won't get into it too much. But again, just phishing is, you think the email is coming from maybe your boss or a legitimate entity like the IRS, and they want your information. So you not even thinking, reply back and provide your information, and it wasn't who you thought it was. And you just have to be aware to look for grammar, punctuation. If you see issues like that, it's not going to be legitimate, and don't respond back to the email. And then with the remote desktop, again, it's just people who are able to backdoor your servers remotely, and they're able to steal your information. And the point would be here is obviously strong passwords, and again, keeping your servers secure, preferably offsite. I know that's always not practical, but don't store information like on the same server. Keep things separate so that it's a little harder for the fraudsters to access. Next slide, please. Again, the point of this email is just to emphasize with spoofing, and I think the last presenter said a little bit about this, is just not recognizing when the email that's coming out is not from IRS or not from who you think it is, and just being aware of that. some statistics here says that from the FBI says that in the last few years, over $750 million has been lost just on individuals responding to emails on spoofing and not realizing that it wasn't from a legitimate source. So again, the takeaway is just recognize the source of the email. Is it coming from who you think it is? And again, what was the other point I wanted to make? Oh yeah, right. The grammar and the punctuation, just ensuring that the grammar is what it is and punctuation is. And again, if you're seeing emails come through with poor English, then it's probably a scammer, a fraudster who's sending thousands of emails out, and they're just trying to get it out quickly, and they're not really paying attention to the details of what is the point that they're trying to get across. Next slide, please. So protecting your computer systems, we kind of already touched on this a bit, but obviously you just want to implement a system, right? Have reoccurring training with employees, whether it's done yearly during some type of CPE like we're doing here today, or on your own with your employees in a separate setting, and then implementing it. Backing up data regularly. Don't just do it, once a month. Do it weekly, and if more if needed. But that way, if a fraudster gets onto one computer, they're not going to be able to access the entire file because everything else has been backed up and is on a different server. And then making sure your software is up to date. Fraudsters, like I was saying, they're very tech savvy, right? And they're going to use the latest digital, software at their convenience. And if you're working off of an old version of a particular firewall software, they're going to be able to circumvent it very quickly because they have, a more up-to-date version of the software. So just making sure that your software is up to date. Again, passwords are not easy to figure out. And again, just ensuring that you just got protocol in place so that it's very hard for people to break into your servers and backdoor them. Next slide, please. So safeguarding taxpayer data with IRS publication 4557. This is more informational for you guys. Just a friendly reminder that the FTC safeguard rules require that tax return preparers create and enact security plans to protect client data. Again, just kind of a public awareness thing, just to remind you that this is a requirement of you as a licensed tax professional. Next slide, please. Again, so how are you going to do that, right? Obviously, you're going to monitor your systems. You're going to make sure that who's logging into the system is who you think is logging into the system. We would recommend that you don't just discard paper documents, that you shred them. That way, no one's going to be able to look to find them in the trash, basically. And again, when employees are either leave your company or terminated, whatever the circumstance may be, that you make sure you terminate their access to your servers, to delete their passwords or usernames so that they aren't able to remotely access your servers and then backdoor, get a backdoor entrance, and then again steal information off of your servers. Next slide, please. Again, limiting access to their servers. Not everybody should have access to the server. There should be an admin login, whoever that's deemed appropriate, and they should be monitoring the servers to ensure that only the people you believe are accessing servers are doing that. Check your eFINs. If you see that, or in a particular week you filed 200 returns or whatever the number might be for your business, but yet your eFIN's been used 1,000 times, well, obviously that's a problem, right? So you'd want to, contact your IRS liaison and speak to them about that, and maybe cancel that eFIN and have another one issued as well. And again, I cannot stress the importance of backing up data. We see so many times with data not being backed up, and then it becomes compromised because someone was able to backdoor it because of again, using an older version of a particular type of firewall software. Next slide, please. Okay. So federal laws, the Grimleach-Billy Act, what we refer to as the Financial Services Modernization Act, again, is just reminders as far as with you and to have protocols in place to ensure the security and the confidentiality of the taxpayer records that you have. Obviously, there's an interest in the IRS for that information to be kept confidential. We don't want to see it getting out into the bad guy's hands. So just a reminder that you need to be respecting the privacy laws that the IRS has in place. And then, in the Internal Revenue Code, the IRS can impose criminal or monetary penalties against someone if it's determined that they knowingly or recklessly made an unwarranted disclosure. Next slide, please. So again, getting back to the EFINs, right? If say you do have a breach with your EFINs, you're going to want to, talk to your IRS Stakeholder Liaison. These are your contacts, who are probably, I know Narnia's on the call, Lisa's on the call. You'll want to reach out to them. Maybe you have somebody different that you reach out to. But again, the point of the slide is just to know that you have a responsibility to reach out to the IRS if you feel that there's an issue with your EFIN or thinking that your information's your client has been compromised. A lot of times, if it's taxes, it comes to us, but FBI and Secret Service can also be involved if there's different criminal statutes that have been violated by the fraudsters. Next slide, please. So I heard the last presenter speak on this, so I'm not going to say too much about it, but again, it's a great website as far as if you're wanting to learn more about current tax scams that we're seeing. You can sign up for different types of e-newsletters with IRS. There's fact sheets on different types of scams we see going on that you can learn more about. And there's a whole bunch of information on ID theft and how you can protect your client's information from being compromised. Next slide, please. Again, more of the same, just websites that you can visit as far as to learn, your responsibilities as a professional tax preparer, and with the FTC, Department of Congress, Center for Internet Security. Again, great websites, have great information on it. Next slide. So that's all I have. Again, that's my contact information. You can reach me. That's my desk number, or you can email me directly. I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can, at least. So that's it. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much. I apologize for the issues I was having with the internet, but I appreciate those who stayed on the call. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eric. Thank you for being able to fix your computer issues and join us today. And I want to thank all of those who stayed behind to listen to our presentation. A lot of our resources are available on irs.gov. But after today's meeting, I will put together a resource sheet, and I will mail it out to all the participants today. I want to thank all our partners, and I want to thank you for attending. And I want to see if Kenny wants to do a final word before we close today's webinar.
Yeah, thank you for all of the speakers. We learned so many. So that will be used this all information, and for sure tomorrow all of the reporter will be published, educate all of our Chinese community. So thank you for all of the great information. Thank you.
Thank you, and everyone have a great evening. Bye.
Bye-bye.